Where you going?
She's coming.
Mary and Marissa, who must carry a black ribbon, which was placed on their clothing. The hair ribbon, the creed, symbolizes the care and the fabric of their life, and the loss of the beloved wife and mother. And while we mourn this loss, we recognize that death is part of life. We are grateful to God for the creation of life. We are thankful for Sharon's life. Say, Father, bless him. Baruch, Atah, Adonai, Elohim, Melech, HaOlam, Dayan, HaEmet. Blessed are you, Adonai, Sovereign of the universe, the righteous judge. We begin today's service remembering the life of Sharon Lieberman with the 23rd Psalm.
Mizmor David, Adonai roi, lo echsar, binoteshe yarbitzeini, al mei menuchot yenaleini. נפשי שובב ינחני ומגלי צדק למען שמו גם כלך בגי צלמוות לא ירא כי אתה עמדי שבתך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי, תשענת בשמן ראשי, כוסי רוויה. אך טוב החסד ידפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on paths of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod do comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forever. We have come together, sharing our sorrow, to bid farewell to Sharon Lieberman. We recall the blessing of her life. We thank God for all that was good and true in her life, and for the precious memories which shall endure. Eternal God, Creator, merciful Father of all, be gracious to those who mourn. Bless them with your compassion. Ease their burden of sorrow. Send them light and peace, for it is written, "Fear not, as I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you, I will help you, I will sustain you with my power." We say, Amen. Psalm 16 reflects our hope that our spirit will always be with God. I have set the Lord before me. He is always at my right hand. I shall never be shaken. Therefore, my heart rejoices, my soul exalts, and my body rests secure. For you will not abandon my soul. You will teach me the path of life. In your presence is perfect joy. Pleasantness is at your right hand forevermore.
Shiviti Adonai lenegdi tamid ki mimini balemot לכן שמח ליבי ויגל כבודי אף בשרי ישכון לבטח כי לא תעזוב נפשי לשאול לא תיתן חסידך לראות שחת תודיעני אור החיים סובה שמחות את פניך נעימות במינך נצח.
Our community unexpectedly lost a sparkling soul this past Sunday. Anyone who knew Sharon Lieberman, and even people who were just meeting Sharon for the first time, knew that they were with a person with a love of life. And in our tradition, we are taught to choose life and toast l'chaim, to life itself. And that is how Sharon lived. The first child of Helen and Harry Depew, Sharon was born on August 4th, 1947 in Canton. Her parents were hard-working people. Her mother had a job at Schneider's Meat Market, and her father worked at a tire service center. Sharon's sibling, her sister Christine, joined the family a few years after Sharon. And while they had sibling rivalries, they had a deep bond that resulted in Chris calling Sharon every night around bedtime during the last 2 years of Sharon's life. After graduating from Timken High School in 1965, Sharon went to work for GE Credit and stayed with the company for 18 years until 1983, when her life became a lot busier and she decided it was time to quit her job. About 10 years earlier, she was out with friends and happened to meet a fellow who was not about to let her leave his life. Perry Lieberman was smitten by the outgoing, fun-loving lady he just happened to meet, and within another year or so, they were married right here at Shari Torah Synagogue on September 12, 1976. Perry was an optometrist, and his own practice on Market Avenue was growing. The couple had lived in apartments for a few years, and then in the early 1980s, bought the house on Tamarack Circle that they shared for the next 4+ decades. On September 12, 1981, their 5th wedding anniversary, Sharon and Perry received the best anniversary present of their lives. Their daughter, Marissa, was born. It was not long afterwards that Sharon traded in her job at GE Credit for the full-time job of being a caregiver. Initially, it was caring for Marissa, but in 1986, after Sharon's father passed away, Sharon became the key caregiver for her mother, Helen. Chris lived out of town, so it made sense that Sharon was the one to be there for her mother. And Marissa told me that it was because Sharon was such a devoted caregiver and advocate for her mother that she lived until she was 96, passing away in the winter of 2020. Sharon loved being Marissa's mother, and Marissa made both of her parents very proud. After graduating from Glen Oak High School in 1999, Marissa headed to New York City as she had been accepted to one of the best fashion schools in the country, the Fashion Institute of Technology. I know Sharon was always interested in fashion, and it was exciting that Marissa was heading into a career in fashion. Sharon enjoyed visiting the Big Apple, especially while Marissa was there, first as a college student, and then after Marissa earned her Bachelor of Science in Advertising and Business Communications, when she went to work in 2003 for a very well-known designer, Tommy Hilfiger, and she left that position to work for Michael Kors. In 2008, Marissa took a position as the executive assistant to the CEO of a very exclusive fashion company, Alice and Olivia, whose clientele includes a number of celebrities. And even when Marissa's job took her to one of the company's locations in Miami, Florida, Sharon, though missing her more frequent visits to New York, was just as happy to go to Florida. Sharon, being the fun-loving person that she was, always enjoyed going to Disney World, and so she would combine her Florida visits with a stop in Orlando, and then, of course, a stay in Miami. And life was especially good for Marissa in Florida as she met a fellow who Sharon and Perry adored, Ryan Neufer, a senior web application developer at the Library Corporation, where he develops automation software for libraries. Marissa and Ryan were married in Miami in October of 2013, and Sharon and Perry were happy to visit them whenever possible. However, just before Sharon's 65th birthday, she was confronted by a major life challenge. She was diagnosed with lung cancer and was going to have to take the journey of her life battling the disease. And that she did. She took on the cancer head-on, refusing to let it stop her from enjoying her life. As an upbeat, optimistic person, Sharon started her chemotherapy, which continued for 4 years and included many short stays in the hospital. Even while on the treatment, Sharon and Perry were still able to go to Marissa's wedding and make a number of trips to Florida. After her 4 years of chemotherapy, there was a new medication that Sharon was able to take, which worked to keep the cancer at bay, allowing Sharon a greater ability to do the things she enjoyed. While she faced some limits, Sharon made the best of her circumstance. Perhaps that sparkle in her soul shone the brightest when her and Perry's granddaughter, Sylvie, was born on April 30th, 2019. They planned to see a lot of their granddaughter, but after their visit in early 2020, COVID changed those plans. Then in early 2021, the Liebermans had to face another major challenge. Sylvie was diagnosed with cancer, but it was treatable, but of course, any cancer in a young child is frightening. And while Sharon desperately wanted to be with her granddaughter, neither of them could take the chance for their health. Fortunately, just this past February, Sylvie was able to ring the bell at the hospital, signifying her cancer was gone. And during the last 2 years, Sharon was able to see Sylvie several times. But of course, it was never enough for doting grandparents. I'm sure that Marissa will make sure her daughter knows some of the special memories Marissa has of her mother. Some of those memories are clearly in concert with Sharon's outgoing personality. Marissa mentioned how her mother loved to entertain her friends, including her special friends, Linda and David Sklar, Linda and the late David Poole, Rita and Jerry Golub, and Celia and Bob Borak. Sharon also cherished her 2 dear friends, Lila Mercarelli and Olivia Archer, who were part of Sharon's life since they were 5 years old. Sharon loved to bake, and her efforts were enjoyed by many. She was known for her delicious Texas sheet cakes, apple pies, and rum cakes. And in fact, she offered her desserts to everyone who came to her home, including the landscape workers, phone and cable repairmen, painters, appliance repairmen. They all were treated to Sharon's desserts. She truly enjoyed making people's days a bit sweeter when they entered her home. Sharon also enjoyed hosting her relatives and friends on the holidays, especially Thanksgiving, during which she would entertain large gatherings. After eating her dessert specialties, everyone would stay and play board games. Her family and friends also looked forward to Passover Seders at Lieberman's, and they knew they would be enjoying Sharon's flourless chocolate cake. Sharon's knack for entertaining included her ability to talk to anyone she met. She was friendly with people sitting next to her at a doctor's office, shopping at a store, or sitting next to her on a plane. In fact, one time she was sitting next to a gentleman on a plane who was wearing some very special rings. Sharon introduced herself, and during the conversation learned that her fellow passenger was enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He was Larry Zonka, who lived in Stowe and had played for the Miami Dolphins, including when they won the Super Bowl. I know that Sharon was not one to seek out football games to watch on TV, but she was thrilled to have encountered Mr. Zonka. What Sharon did enjoy watching was old movies, especially ones with Danny Kaye, Bing Crosby, and one of her favorites, Doris Day. I found it interesting that Sharon was a 60s and 70s music buff. She knew all the songs, who sang them, and when they came out. Her focus on this music and excellent recall resulted in her winning several music trivia contests. At the beginning of this year, Sharon's health started declining. The medication she had been taking for 8 years was no longer keeping the cancer at bay. Being the optimist and always wanting to carry on to the extent that she could, Sharon tried several experimental new medications. Unfortunately, none of the new medication was working. Last week, Sharon's body could not carry on the fight she had hoped to wage. Marissa flew to Canton, and she and Perry were at Sharon's side to say farewell. It is my hope that you will remember how full of life your beloved wife, mother, grandmother, sister, and friend was. May you hold in your hearts the memory of her warmth and kindness, her joy, her laughter, and her love for you. And may we all be inspired by the way she persevered through life, focused on what brought her happiness and how she could share her happiness with others by bringing a bit of sparkle to everyone she encountered. Amen. Now, Marissa Newfer, Perry and Sharon's daughter, has some memories and thoughts to share, and they will be read by Marissa's good friend, Kim Dean.
The yin to my yang, the extrovert to my introvert. Sharon, best known as Mom, now Gigi, was also known as Effie Lee at AOL.com, which she refused to change. She was a boomer after all. But Effie was the name she was given when purchasing a fur coat in the 1980s in New York City, because the furrier thought my mom was effervescent, and she was just that, bubbly and vivacious. She was a true Leo, hair and all. She was dramatic with a huge heart. She cherished her friendships so much and always tried to create a little fun wherever she went. From her purple car in the 1990s with her neon license plate to the convertible that she barely got to use in this lovely Ohio weather, she was always bopping to the oldies while driving and cooking in the kitchen. She was the hostess with the mostest. She had dinnerware for every single occasion and holiday to the extent I will need to rent another storage unit in order to keep it all. She loved to throw a gathering, big or small. She was also quite the baker, always wanting to bake something, whether it was for her doctor's office, the mailman, the guy cutting the lawn. I know she will be whipping up her famous Texas sheet cake and apple pie wherever she is looking down on us. She is the only person I know who could get her hair done at the salon every Friday, sleep on it all week long, and it would still remain perfect. She was the cool mom, long before the movie Mean Girls came out. I could tell her literally anything, and so could any of my friends. And we sure did. She was a straight shooter and a safe haven, but always 2 steps ahead. I can remember the first time I had a high school party where my parents were out of town. My neighbors had ratted me out, but she had already been and spotted every single detail of our mishaps. Let's just say there were no more secrets after that night and many more group sleepovers in the basement. While she liked the simple life of Ohio, she thankfully allowed me to venture to New York for college. She happily took every opportunity to come visit me and would always have the best time going shopping, seeing Broadway shows. going to fancy dinners, and finishing the night off at a dive bar. She loved New York, the glitz, the glamour, especially New York at the holidays. She absolutely loved Christmas, which is clearly why I have followed in her footsteps. As she would say to me, "You get it honestly." Hallmark movies or any rom-com really were a big part of our life. I could always look over at her when we would watch a movie together and know exactly when to pass her a box of tissues. She was a sap and a sucker, and I absolutely loved her for it. She was my absolute best friend, and I will miss her every single day. My mom said she would never move to Florida, but joke's on her. Thankfully, one redeeming quality of living down there is being able to see the stars from every window of her condo. I look forward to seeing her each night, as I know she will be the brightest star of the bunch.
Thank you for sharing that. Now, Jeff Lieberman has some memories to share.
As I was flying here this morning, I was thinking about Sharon, and this is probably the first eulogy that's ever been written on an air sickness bag. But may have to come see you, Perry. Thank you. So I've known Sharon for the bigger part of my adult life, and we kind of bonded over the years, but most especially as we got older in life. And Sharon is, as has been mentioned here, she was always a real free spirit. The life of a party. I remember her coming dressed up in her party dress to my kids' bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah. She was dancing all over the place and reaffirmed my decision to have an open bar. She was always welcoming to me, even though she didn't like to travel very much as the later years came on. She always provided a very nice bedroom, fixed it all up, had extra sheets, extra pillowcases, extra towels. I guess that was your room. She would always have breakfast in the morning ready, and of course, snacking during the day on the Texas sheet cake. My staff in Atlanta always wanted me to come back up so I could get more and bring to them. When I moved to Atlanta, we stayed in touch, and she would always keep me posted on everybody and everything going on in Canton. She kind of knew everybody that I knew already. She would keep me posted on the gossip that was going on here in Canton. She had a kind of a hard and fast rule that Perry adhered to, which was I never called during dinner time. It was always kind of respectful to have them have the dinner that she prepared at night for them, so I kind of honored that as well. We became closer after her cancer, and I remember one fabulous weekend we had together when I came up here, and I became her girlfriend. We went to the hair salon. She got her famous Sharon do adjusted. We got manicure and pedicures together. We went shopping, and I saw a bracelet. It said "Fierce" on it, and I got her a bracelet because just to remind her, in her down times, that she was going to be a fighter. She had said that she wanted to be alive for Marissa's wedding. which frankly, I kind of thought was a long shot at the time. But by some demi-miracle and a lot of work by Perry, they found a medication that basically halted this disease for years. So not only did she get that gift, but she also had the gift of seeing Sylvie born and growing up and going through the trials and tribulations with Marissa on that and the joy that she had. She was a typical proud, doting grandma when I spoke to her. Recently, as our lives became more stressful and hectic, we bonded over those darn Hallmark movies. I actually got the Hallmark channel, probably the best $4.99 a month I've spent. And it was funny because, we would go over which ones we've seen and which ones, we were gonna see. We'd look into the deep, complex plot twists that they had and the thematic aspects of what was going on. So I remember in June, she called to remind me that the Christmas in July movies were coming out soon. And then more recently, the new holiday season of movies was coming, and I always called her to tell her when a Hanukkah movie was coming on for that as well. My wife reminded me yesterday that I would miss those calls, and I will. But it'll bring a smile to my face, and really everybody should have a smile on their face when they think about Sharon.
Thank you for sharing. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, hi shem Adonai mevorach. God gave us the good soul of Sharon Lieberman. Now Sharon's soul has returned to God. May we be comforted by God's love. May God's name be eternally blessed. Amen. Would you please rise for the memorial prayer?
רחמים שוכן במרומים אמצעי מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה במעלות קדושים וטהורים כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת שרה לאה בת אברהם שהלכה לעולמה בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. אנא בעל הרחמים הסתיריה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום על משכבה ונאמר Amen.
Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Sharon Lieberman, Sarah Leah Bat Avraham, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. We say, Amen. Continue with the mourner's Kaddish. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'yimaru. Amen. Yahei Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lameil maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal Shemei lekudesha brichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechemata damiran be'alma v'yimaru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimaru. Amen. You may be seated. At the conclusion of today's service, you are all invited to stay for the meal of consolation, which will be in the space directly behind the back wall of the sanctuary. The Liebermans will be observing Shiva and receiving friends at the Lieberman residence, 2220 Tamarack Circle Northeast this evening. And next Monday, December 2nd, evenings from 7 to 9 p.m. Each night, the service or the Shiva will begin with the Meyer worship service. It'll be a few minutes after 7. Please give your attention to John Arnold for further instructions.
We'll ask everyone to remain seating until the band leaves the sanctuary, and we'll be able to join them.
Oh, yeah, it's 7th Street, yeah. Oh, that guy went by the old house. I volunteer for him, but yeah, it's right on 7th Street, so I can sit down there and cycle.
There's actually, so installed here.
Great seeing you. Yeah. You too. Have a good holiday.
Hi, I'm Linda. How are you? Good to see you. Yeah, you still playing cards? There's no quiz on the
So much fun. Super parties are always so much fun.
Oh, they had it.
I couldn't go last year. I think it was here.
Yeah,
That's right.
that was fun.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It looks gorgeous. I would never be in the house.
I think that's the point. Yeah, I don't think he is. I love the bathroom. The bathroom is the guys. Oh, yeah, it's the guys.
Urinal on the wall. Someday I'll be there.
That's all.
But I just
Yeah, Thanksgiving first, right?
Oh, yeah. Just turned 92. 24.
know it.